John, I only want to be a dictator for one day.
So there was the former president, as he has said on multiple occasions now, that he would love to become a dictator for a day. And here's how his supporters feel about that.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president?
Trump.
As a dictator?
Maybe.
Sometimes in life, we all need a good paddling from the principal to set our life on the right track. And this country does need a little bit of that. We need a little paddling.
It's nice to have a strong man running your country.
Would you rather have 4 years of Donald Trump as a dictator or 4 years of Joe Biden as a president?
Donald Trump all the way.
Even as a dictator?
Yes, yes.
Trump as a dictator.
I think I'm choosing Donald Trump as a dictator.
Yeah, I'm going dictator Trump for sure.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator.
The other day, Donald Trump said on his first day he's going to be a dictator for a day.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Would you rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years or re-elect Joe Biden for 4 years?
I would rather have Donald Trump. I'd like to see the repeal the Roosevelt law so that he can be a president for a lot more than 4 years. But this country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
So how overblown are the fears that the former president will try and potentially succeed in his quest to become a dictator? Here's his former press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, who talked about his recent meeting with the Hungarian autocrat Viktor Orban this week, who the MAGA faction of the party idolizes as a model for the United States to follow.
This meeting today with Viktor Orban and Donald Trump, I know you had been in the room, right, when Trump had meetings with strongmen like Orban. Do you think it's an exaggeration that he wants to use Orban's playbook in many ways?
Absolutely not. You know, hearing Kristen say that the meeting has lasted at least an hour and a half just tells you something right there. Donald Trump has the attention span of a gnat. And the fact that he's sitting in there with a dictator shows you that this is what interests him. I have sat in many bilateral meetings with world leaders, and he always looked forward to speaking with President Erdogan of Turkey or President Xi of China, of course, Putin. And, you know, it's funny, you played that soundbite where Trump said that, you know, that he's such a strong man and you need a strong man leading your country. They're strong men against their own country, against the people of their own country. I think that's something that should be thought about there. And I think you're looking at a second Donald Trump term, in fact, in terms of he wants to be strong, that he can be tough with his own people, not be good to our allies, not be good to our people, and not to, you know, defend people like in Ukraine. He wants to be a dictator.
You know, Biden was asked about today whether he was worried about Trump's meeting with Orban. He said, if I'm not, you should be.
The Republican Party is now being very clear about their intentions and their disdain for democracy. In their minds, the problems this country faces, or the problems they believe this country faces, cannot be solved democratically. Congress cannot solve their problems. They need a strongman. But how do dictators really come to power? Through force. With 30% of the population so fired up, so angry, so convinced the other side, in this case the Democrats, represents such a threat to their freedom and way of life that they want someone to come in and assert control. Now, the former president gave a rally last night in Georgia, which was noteworthy for a variety of reasons, but here's a few of the segments that really show that this MAGA movement is, at its core, authoritarian.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light?
So that was not doctored footage. That was the January 6th rioters who tried to overthrow our government being honored with the singing of the national anthem and recognized as hostages and as political prisoners. And here's what the former president had to say about who the real enemies of America are.
They're horrible people. You know, we have China, we have Russia, we have Kim Jong-un, we have all sorts of countries out there. But if you have a really capable president, like me, I mean, I will tell you, believe me, you were very safe. You were very safe. But the real problem is not from them. A competent president can handle them. You can say, really, you're going to do that to us? We're going to tariff the hell out of you. We're going to do this. Believe me, I had them all in good shape. They were all, you were never in any trouble. Kim Jong-un of North Korea, tough guy. but we had a great relationship. You know, they hate when they say that. You know why? Because you were very safe. You had a lot of nuclear weapons. And, you know, you have Putin now talking nuclear all the time, don't you? You know why? Because he knows we have an idiot as a president, and he can get away with that. He can get away with that. But the biggest threat we have, it's the threat from within. It's the radical left lunatics that we have in our country. That's a much bigger threat than outside threats, I will tell you right now. We can handle the outside pretty easily if you're smart. If you're stupid.
I honestly imagine that this is similar to what the rise of the Third Reich looked like. Elevate and lionize those who are willing to go the extra mile for the aspiring autocrat, praise them as heroes, as victims, as political prisoners, and demonize your political opponents as the true threat to these people. It's a very simple playbook, and it's been used for generations to assert control and destroy democratic nations. Our enemies overseas who want to destroy us and our way of life are not the real enemies of America. The Democrats are. My political opponents are. It's simple. Anyone standing in the way of my power is my enemy. Now, here's what Trump had to say about the press last night.
So interesting. I watched these criminals back there, the press. Look at them. Look at how many of them. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Wow.
We all know what we do to criminals. We jail them. We take away their freedoms. Now, the first thing dictators do is shut down the free press. When you look to history on every occasion, the first thing an autocrat does is shut down the media that's unfavorable to him. Why? Because it's something that threatens his control on information and thus his power. And we all know what the former president says about the media. They're not just fake news, and they're not just his enemy. No, they are the enemy of the American people. Now, in 2020, Really American PAC made an ad specifically dedicated to just this issue because we believe it is that important. Here's that ad.
Without liberty of the press, there is no representative democracy, nor individual liberty, nor social justice. Only darkness, impunity, abuse, mediocrity, and repression.
When you look at history, the first thing that dictators do is shut down the press.
That is why our press was protected by the First Amendment.
The free press is the despot's enemy, which makes the free press the guardian of democracy.
This fake news charge that is now picked up by authoritarians globally, they're now using fake news as justification for jailing journalists. 262 jailed just this past year. That's a record.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
Stick with us. Don't believe the crap you see from these people. The fake news. Fake news. You are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Fake, disgusting news. And the fake news. A lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them.
Does everybody like the press? No. Do you think the media is fair?
These horrible, horrendous people. And just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
So look, whether it's his praise of dictators and their grip on power across the world, his glorification of those who tried to overthrow the government to keep him in power, or his vicious attacks on the media, this is an aspiring autocrat. Before January 6th happened, one thing that's often overlooked is what our former defense secretaries said to Pentagon and military officials. Former defense secretaries from both parties were so worried that Trump would try and pull off a violent military coup that they had to band together and write letters to the heads of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Pentagon, urging them to not go along with the coup. Look, we're lucky that the January 6th effort failed. We shouldn't be so naive, though, and believe that they won't try it again in the future. And now they can learn from their mistakes. And if the military for some reason got involved, a military that Trump cleanses of dissidents and fills with yes men in a second term, they could succeed. We would do well to heed the very real warnings of his own former staff members and believe him when he says he wants total control. We're going to continue keeping you up to date with all the latest in the Republican Party and MAGA's attempts to, frankly, destroy this country as we know it. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit notifications. We've got a ton planned, and we really can't do it without you. With Really American, I'm Justin Horwitz. Thanks.